In episode 7 of 100 Goats, the 100 greatest people and events of all time you should know to be a culturally literate person, we'll cover Homer and the Homeric question. Is he the greatest urban legend ever created? Or was Homer a Greek poet from the 9th century BCE, credited as the author of the Iliad and the Odyssey, two epic poems that are foundational works of ancient Greek literature? 3,000 years later, Homer is considered one of the most revered and influential authors in history. Homer might have been born in Ionia, a Greek settlement on the western coast of what is modern-day Turkey, and maybe lived around 850 BCE. The Iliad covers the end of the Trojan War and conflicts between King Agamemnon and his greatest soldier Achilles. The Odyssey chronicles the 10-year journey of King Odysseus after the war back to his home and to his wife Penelope, who's had her hands full warding off suitors. As for the historicity of Homer's works and of his very existence, let's just start here. Most contemporary scholars agree that the Iliad and the Odyssey were not produced entirely by the same author, based on many differences of narrative style, vocabulary, and geographical perspective. Scholarship also questions whether the society Homer depicts was his own, or one that was already the stuff of lore at the time of the creation of the works. More lore is that Homer was a blind poet who sang his words as he wandered, a long-winded Woody Guthrie prototype. In any case, Homer's two attributed poems profoundly influenced ancient Greek culture and education by promoting ideals like heroism, glory, honor, and justice, and by exploring themes of war and mortality, love and friendship, the power of gods, fate versus free will, revenge, grief, cunning, and self-control. The works cover some profound human ground, that much is true. The Iliad and the Odyssey were also the first works of literature taught to all students. Plato called Homer the one who has taught Greece. Dante has the Roman poet Virgil refer to Homer as the poet sovereign, the ruling king of all poets. Homer and his works enjoyed centuries of vaunted praise and wide circulation in Greco-Roman and Byzantine cultures through the Middle Ages. Then, in 1664, a low-ranking French clergyman turned literary critic, François Hedelin, writes a blistering attack on Homer's two works, declaring them incoherent, immoral, tasteless, and without style. François is also thought to be the first to go on record to claim that Homer never even existed, and that the poems were patchworks pieced together, pilfered from existing unrelated oral tales. And old François might have been right about some of that. Today, nearly all scholars agree that, despite who may have authored them, the Iliad and the Odyssey are unified poems that most likely were carefully constructed over generations by poets who tried to, indeed did, expand both in ways befitting the long-honored practice of epic storytelling, now known as the Homeric tradition. So after 3,000 years of considering Homer a literary Hall of Famer, immortalized further still by even The Simpsons, how should we regard this person now? He's certainly more real than, say, Sasquatch or leprechauns. We've all been thinking and talking about Homer as though he walked the earth, and for about 1,000 years longer even than this guy, whose historicity is also long been called into question. So maybe we can choose to think of Homer like we do the legendary figures Robin Hood, William Tell, and Paul Bunyan. Iconic figments that represent the biggest, brightest, and best of us mere mortals. 7 places lay claim to being the birthplace of Homer, who might be, as far as I can tell, the greatest urban legend ever created. Which brings to mind the words of a remarkable individual who definitely did exist, Mark Twain. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's the dish on Homer, the man, the myth, the legend. Come back for the next episode of 100 Goats.